Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So let us chant the following verses. We will now start with verse number 5, then 20, then 22 and 23. So pretty soon I think we will make number 20 as the bedrock, the important one, and then whichever verses we are taking, we will chant those as well. But for today, we will just chant number 5 first, then 20. Excuse me. Nodeti na astametyesha na vriddhim yati nakshayam swayam vibhatyath anyani bhasayet sadhanam vina. Then number 20. Asti bhati priyam rupam nama chetyam shapanchakam Adyatrayam brahma rupam jagat rupam tatodvayam. Number 22. Upekshya nama rupe dve satchidananda tatparaha samadhim sarvada kuryat hridaye vathava bahihi. Again. Upeksha nama rupe dve satchidananda tatparaha samadhim sarvada kuryat hridaye vathava bahihi. Number 23. Savikalpo nirvikalpaha samadhir dvividho hridi drishya shabda anuvedhena savikalpah punardvidha. One more time. Savikalpo nirvikalpaha samadhir dvividho hridihi. Hridi, sorry, not hridihi, but hridi. Drishya shabdanuvedhena savikalpah punardvidha. Okay. So, the verse number 20, as I mentioned, is the foundational verse that we should really clearly understand, and my request will be that you remember it by heart, so you can chant it anytime. Asti bhati priyam rupam nama chet iti ansha panchakam. Then adyatrayam brahma rupam jagat rupam tatodvayam. So, it answers the basic question that we have in our lives, those of us that want to inquire into the reality of the world, the substantiveness of it, the presence of the Creator, the implications for myself, in this life, next life, all those kinds of things. The question is, what is God? Where is God? And what is the relationship between the world and God and myself? So this is the underlying question that we have in our minds. And so the verses number 1 through 19 builds up to it, and then the foundational verse for our understanding is number 20, which says, the answer is, it is not the question, it is not the appropriate question, where is God? My question should be, where is God not? That should be the question. And in fact, you know this very nice assertion by Swami Dayanandji, where he says that I'm often asked in various forums, interreligious forums, excuse me, in the various interreligious forums, that people will say, we have one God, and then Hinduism has multiple gods. Why? Why do you have multiple gods? We only have one God. So Swamiji says you're right, we don't have one God, we don't have multiple gods, we only have God. This is an understanding that we must be very clear about. This is the truth. That it is our notion that this is me, and this is the world, and I don't know where God is. Whereas the right notion is everything is nothing but Brahman, everything is God, including myself, including the world, everything is nothing but God. And the truth of the matter is, this is what we have to aspire to. If we want to quit before that and say, I don't understand this is hocus pocus and so on, you lost something because you have really not gotten deeper into it. But if you should decide to inquire it deeper into it, what you will find is that what our Vedic Shastras are saying, that listen, this is exactly like the ocean, which has the underlying unchanging stratum and a changing manifestation, or exactly like the manifestations of different ornaments of gold. Gold is actually used as a very good example because, unlike other metals, it does not tarnish. It stays exactly as it is. And so this points out to the truth of the whole world, as we have already been seeing it, and we should see it more clearly, that I, the conscious entity, I, the consciousness, me, never tarnishes. It is, if it is tarnished, it is because of ignorance. Because of ignorance. There might be some dirt sitting on it. It has nothing to do with the gold. If the shine of the gold is not as good as it used to be, it is not that the gold has become tarnished, it is just that some film is sitting on top of it. So this is our problem in life. That we think we are tarnished. And the way we are tarnished is that we think that I'm subject to problems. I'm tarnished with the body, mind, and other things. When in fact I'm not. Those are external dirts that have nothing to do with me. This is what has to be understood. And it has to be inquired into. Like, for example, supposing you have, I'm just making it up, supposing you have some gold ornament and it appears to be really not shining anymore. And you can always conclude that, you see, this is a bad gold. This is not, if it was true gold, it would not have been like this. So somebody gave me a bum deal. It is some kind of a copper that initially looks like gold, but it is not. So somebody says, I think that was pure gold and please look into it. He says, I don't want to look into it because I can see it, it's tarnished, and okay, don't look into it. But if you really go and wipe out the dirt, which should be relatively easy, you find that the gold has been unaffected. So anyway, going back to the answer, that where is God not? This is what we have to understand. And here the number 20 says that really speaking, you should see that anything that exists and also is always there and is the source of happiness is Brahman, is God, and it is really nothing but you. Not that you will be, but you already are. You always have been. That is your own nature. It is not a quality that you're acquiring. That is your nature. So as we've been saying perhaps in some of the other classes, that the word Swarupa means that this is my own nature. It is not Swabhava. Swabhava is a personality. Swarupa is my nature. So our acharyas often say that really speaking, our body-mind complex is a costume. And yes, I'm wearing the costume, but it's a costume. It is not me. Like how you and your costumes are totally different, even though you are visible only through the costumes. And the costume keeps changing, but you are different from that. Going back to it, it says, in that sense, that the underlying content of the whole world is Brahman, which is Asti, Bhati and Priyam, which is nothing but you alone. Because if Brahman is everything, then it must include you. You cannot say Brahman, this book says Brahman is everything. I have to look into that. How is that Brahma everything? And then you find, yes, Brahman is everything, but all I see is nothing but Brahman, God, and I am different from it. This is not an accurate analysis of this question. So the accurate analysis is, where is God not? Most importantly, what really matters to you and I is that the Swarupa of Brahman, the very nature of Brahman is me. At this point in time, I am so obsessed with the fact that I am just a single manifestation, like a wave, or like a piece of ice floating in the ocean. This is me. I now separate the entire ocean from me. This is me only. When in fact this is not you, the water is you. The whole ocean is nothing but you. So this costume also is physically separate from me. Here the superimposition is kind of like a mental costume. It's not a real costume, but it looks like a costume. It's a superimposition. That needs to be negated. And not physically negated, but through my understanding. So, for example, you may be very fascinated by a piece of ornament, a golden ornament. So fascinated, in fact, that this is what you're in love with it. You like the very shape, the very shine of it, and so on and so forth. But you never think about the underlying gold behind it. The gold which is really not changeable at all. It is the very substance of the ornament. And so now comes the important aspect of this. This is a revision. We've already done this and I don't want to belabor it anymore. So the question is that, okay, if this is the vision that in fact so here what it is said is that you are exactly like gold in the sense that you are the substance of all of your manifestations. And your manifestations appear to you in a manner that you are obsessed with. You're obsessed with likes, dislikes, with being upset by things, fascination for things. All of that are part of your life. So in that sense, you are like a person who is obsessed by an ornament. And it may be that you are disappointed by the behavior of the ornament. Maybe the ornament breaks. If you have supposing you have a pendant which is very finely made around your neck, and for some reason it breaks, so you're upset by it. But what you may not see right away, eventually you will see this, that really it is the gold which itself is unaffected. And it can be made into another pendant. Nothing is lost. Your being upset or being obsessed by it is very temporary. But if you were to shift your vision, your drishti towards the gold, nothing is lost. So now that we understand that I consist of two things. One is my unchanging content, which is my awareness, my beingness. And the other one is all the manifestations of my consciousness. Then I need to shift my attention from the manifestations to the content. The content is the Asti Bhati Priyam, and Rupam and Nama. The Nama and the name and form are the manifestations. So just like in the water is the H2O, is the unchanging aspect of the ocean, but the various forms of the waves, etc., are just manifestations. All right, I can get to that point, but now, what is the implication of this? The implication is now being given in verse number 22. Upekshya nama rupe dve Satchidananda tatparaha samadhim sarvada kuryat. May you absorb your mind towards the unchanging you rather than the changing you. Upeksha nama rupe dve. Upeksha means, for the time being at least, disregard the manifestations. Nama rupa means manifestations. The form and the name. Disregarding your focus on that, focus instead on the underlying substance of that manifestation, which is what? Satchidananda Rupa. So tatparaha means your attention should be on the underlying content. So here, now we can understand, and so before I do that, so upeksha nama rupe dve, may you be oblivious for the time being, disregarding the nama rupa. You are now focused on, tatparaha means you are absorbed, you are focused on the Satchidananda. Samadhim sarvada kurya. May you get into the habit of doing this kind of a samadhi. What kind of a samadhi? Focusing on the Satchidananda rather than the Namarupa. This is what is being said. So here it should be appreciated that in the Vedantic Samadhi, so we're talking about here the word Samadhi is within the context of Vedanta. We will contrast it with other kinds of Samadhi in a minute, in a little bit later on, but let's just look at it, the Vedantic Samadhi. So Vedantic Samadhi is, you should be aware of what is it that you have to do samadhi on. If you were to say, I don't know what Satchidanand you're talking about. I don't know what Asti Bhati Priyam Ru is you're talking about. I can only see things that are very obvious to me, and I'm dealing with them as best as I can. But I don't know how to focus on the underlying cause. If it is wood, I can understand the wood as the underlying cause of a table. If it's a cup, I understand that clay is the underlying cause of the cup. But here, all my manifestations, I don't know what underlying cause you want me to focus on. If that is it all depends on where you are in this understanding. If this is what your question is, then you please study from the very beginning. And step by step, you have to see from the very beginning, all the way up to the important number 5. Na udeti na astameti esha na vriddhim yati na kshayam swayam vibhati yatha anyani bhasayet sadhanam vina, your own consciousness. Where is that consciousness? Well, that should be understood as when you say I know. Everything is I know. I am. You don't have any doubts about I am. It's just that I never thought about it until this was pointed out. So the pointing this out is what is called the initial introduction. This is called Shravanam. I mean, somebody has to point this out. And even reading a book by itself doesn't really convince me. Some living being who has benefited from this way of thinking should communicate. And this living being should be someone who's trustworthy, who's knowledgeable. This is what is called Shravana. All right, then what? Well, so the Shravanam needs to be followed by your own mind's question answers. Really? Is this true? How can it be true? How come I never knew this? And one of the students actually wrote to me recently in saying this looks very strange that most people can't know this. And I didn't know this. It looks like it's so unlikely that this will be the case. And how long this is going to take for me to, I don't remember that was her exact question, but this was the gist of it. And I replied to her recently by saying that that is the nature of ignorance, of darkness. Ignorance and darkness are pretty much the same thing. That it hides things from you. And the interesting example given in our Shastra is, all the words are used as in the cave of your heart. These are the words used. Brahman says, where is Brahman? Where is this Atma you talk about, which is the underlying cause of all the things, which is never gone away, always been there? You say this, but I don't see it. The reason you don't see it is because it is in the cave of your heart. What does it say? There are so many guhayam, guha, cave. This is an important word, cave. So it is said that the cave is symbolic of the fact there are thousands of caves that have never been explored before. They've been there for millions of years. And what is characteristic of a cave is that it is totally dark. No light has ever penetrated. You don't know what's inside the cave. Totally dark. Now the question is, if it has been dark for 20 million years, is it going to take me maybe 10 million years to light it up? No. All you have to do is to go inside with the cave that no one has ever been and have your flashlight, and the million-year-old darkness will instantly go away. This is the beauty of a cave. Like, so the Rome cannot be built in one day. It must have taken the Romans hundreds of years to build Rome. And so similarly is this vision about myself and so on. How long is it going to take to do this? And the answer is no time at all if it is pointed out correctly. Instantly you see it. Now, it may not stay with you because your sense of doubt, etc., are still there. You are still covered by it, apparently covered by it. You can never be completely covered by it. So the second step is that of mananam. which is to remove doubts about it. Remove doubts about, can this be true? I don't believe this. If this is true, how come not everybody knows it? Everyone has to look into the cave of their hearts. And until it is inquired into, the fact that I am immortal stays hidden in my heart. Here means the mind, my thinking, my conclusion. My conclusion continues to be that I am just a limited mortal being and I am going to disappear. This is the darkness of the heart, darkness of the mind. And now someone has pointed out, my gosh, this is not true. So it's a flashlight, but the flashlight has to be enhanced with bigger light so I can see all aspects so clearly that it becomes my own. This is what is talked about samadhi. So the samadhi here is what is called the Vedantic meditation, which is called Nididhyasanam. So Nididhyasanam here is preceded by Viveka, Drg Drsya Viveka. You should really know exactly what this discrimination is between the changing and the unchanging. Why you are the very substance behind all the changes. All that has to be done before. And certain amount of discussion and clearing of doubts should have taken place. If not, then please repeat it. Clarify it. But now comes Nididhyasanam. So Nididhyasanam, which is Vedantic meditation, which is now we are entering into, means, so hear these things carefully, this is exactly how it is defined. Nididhyasanam means I know it, but it is not yet fruitful for me. This is the very common complaint all students have. I kind of know it, but I don't, people express it by saying, I don't feel it. I don't experience it. So sometimes this is the expression used in Vedanta, which is Jnanam and Vijnanam. In the 7th chapter, in the Bhagavad Gita, we also said Jnanam and Vijnanam. Jnanam means knowledge that I do have certain insight. Yes, it seems to make sense to me. Yes, I am the very content of the whole world. Yes, absolutely. This is what Asti Bhati Priyam is. But how come I don't have the clear result of this, that I am free? How come I still don't feel free? This is because my mind is still engulfed in the millions of years of being drummed into the fact that I am mortal. This body is me. If the body dies, I die. If the body dies, I die. If my mind is upset, then I am upset. I am drilled into me. And all of a sudden this weak voice comes in and says, no, that's not true. And I think I've mentioned this before. Swami Maheshananji has really expressed this very well. It is like learning a new language. New language. So you have to You count in your own mother tongue, you speak in your mother tongue, you transact in your mother tongue, and all of a sudden you get immigrated into a new house, new place, where the language is different, the signs are different, and at first your normal tendency is, even now for example, sometimes you have to do quick counting. I was born as a Hindi speaking person, so I learnt counting in Hindi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20. And even though my English now has been there for 70 years, but when it comes to the basic counting, I still go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the new language takes a little while to really to take hold. And Swami Maheshananji had given this. He says, this is what happens where, supposing you are given, you are made into a Swami. So first of all, your name was Devadatta. Mr. Devadatta, some last name, was your name. So now your new name is given. So Swami Dayanandji, for example, he would, as far as possible, use some portions of your old name to give a new name. So any name, so new name would be something. Anyways, it doesn't matter. So it could be Swami Devananda. Your old name was Devadatta, and your new name is Devananda. So now, if anybody comes in for a while and says, is Devadatta here? You will say, yeah, that's me. Because your name is so familiar to you. Like the FedEx guy comes in and he says, I need signatures from Mr. Devadatta. You say, yep. After a while, people start calling you Devananda. Swamiji, 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 Guruji, Devanandaji. After a long time, the word Devadatta is forgotten. It takes a while for learning the new name. Then if somebody says Devadatta, you say, I don't know who you're talking. Oh, hey, that used to be my name. Are you looking for that person? It takes a while. This is Vedantic meditation. This is the Nididhyasanam. And so this is what verse number 22 is saying. Upeksha nama rupe dve. So upeksha nama rupe dve means that your status as a person in the society that is dealing with things. So you just take yourself to be that. This is me. I am a doer, I am an enjoyer, I am being upset, I have some tasks to do, I am relieved, I am worried, I am a voter, I am this, all those kinds of things. These all have to do with Nama Rupa. And now the new language is Upeksha Nama Rupe Dve. Satchidananda Sat Tatparaha Samadhim Sarvada Kuryat. May you turn your attention to not the manifestation, but the unmanifested content of the manifestation. Here we'll have to see this clearly, that unlike the example of clay and cups, water and waves, gold and ornaments, where both the cause and the effect, the cause of the manifestation and the effect of the manifestation are visible to you, isn't it? So clay is also visible to you, as is the cup. Gold is also visible to you, as are the ornaments. So there you can easily shift your attention. Like for instance, supposing you have an ornament which was quite emotionally precious to you, and it broke, and you're upset. So you can go to a jeweler and say, I'm very sorry, this is broken. So the jeweler will say, yes, it is broken, but I think I'll still pay you this much money and you can get something else along with it. So there you're shifting the vision from the ornament to the gold, and eventually you become okay. But there the gold and the ornaments are both visible to you. Here the specialty is that you, the content of all of your manifestation, is not visible to you as an object, like a gold is. But it doesn't mean that it is not there. Why? Because the manifested sense organs and so on are only meant for manifested things understanding, not for the very content of the manifestation. It's not possible to look at yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha, where your words cannot go to objectify, your eyes cannot see it, but it is there. Why is it always there? Because it is in fact the unchanging of all of your manifestations. So this is where you find you have a dream which is your manifestation. But the dream goes, you're still there. You go to sleep, you're still there. You're always there. Isn't it obvious? There is something going on here which is unchanging. Even though you don't see it, from the effect you can see. From looking at the manifestations, you can see that there is a karana, there is a cause for it. And even though you don't see it very well, if you start to focus on it, if you make your eyes more subtle, it just appeals to me. Like sometimes that often happens to us. Let's say we are in a lighted room. Let's say early in the morning. Now this happened to me this morning because I usually get up on Saturdays before the class, way before sunrise, just to get prepared and get things done and so on, that I'm ready for the classes. So usually I get up before, it all depends on the seasons, but today also I think I got up at what time was it? I think about 4:45 or so. It was completely dark. And I was having a cup of tea before the classes. And it was still quite dark, it may be about 5:15 or so. And I had the light on. I just wanted to see any messages from last week and so on. So I had my laptop on and the whole room was lighted. And then, as I sometimes do, I just switch off the light and just sit quietly. And when you first switch off the light, it becomes completely dark. Completely dark. Cannot see anything. But you know what? If you just persist for a few seconds, forget about minutes, just a few seconds, you open your eyes again, and the ambient light begins to shine things that you can see in the room. Some ambient lights, could be city lights, could be stars, moon possibly, not sun yet, but some very faint light. Even the light of the oven, the clocks on the oven, just a little bit. If you just persist for a while, then your pupils of your eyes become more sensitive and you can begin to actually negotiate. That's exactly what happened to me this morning. Because after drinking my cup of tea, I wanted to put it away and do the next something else. And I didn't have to turn the light on, even though it was still dark. But I could see the silhouettes of all the things. This is what it is saying, is that listen, in the beginning, your presence as an independent entity, which is the cause of all of your manifestations, will not be visible to you in the beginning. Means when you just like switching off the light. Here the light has never been switched on to begin with. So that's the difference. Because it's like in a cave, it has always been dark. But if you do the following, Upeksha nama rupe dve Satchidananda tatparaha samadhim kuryat. If you were to now close your eyes and follow the teachings that have been presented to you, then the presence of this independent Atma that was not visible to, that was not palpable for you, was not noticed by you, begins to be noticed. It is kind of like the ambient light of the Shravanam and Mananam begins to give you an idea. My God, this is who I am. Shruti is right. I am the very consciousness which does not change. My goodness. This is the kind of meditation which will be detailed out. I'm just giving you an introduction that needs to be done. So this is kind of like the new language that you become familiar with. And as more time passes by and you are dedicated in learning the new language, you become very good at it. This is like giving up your old identity as a Devadatta and comfortably acquiring the new identity as Swami Devananda. To a point where your old identity is a distant memory. You almost have to force yourself to think about it. This is the process. All the process we have to go through. So this is what is called Brahmanishtha. And this becomes a very natural meditation. We will go through all of this. Yatra yatra manojati Tatra tatra samadhaya. In the beginning you have to close your eyes, but then doesn't matter if your eyes are open or closed. You are absorbed in the appreciation of Satchidananda instead of Namarupa. I don't know, last night I was thinking about this, It's interesting. We are, of course, easily blinded by darkness, which is natural. Darkness means that you can't see anything, and the reality of things are covered. It is covered by darkness. But just as much, if you were to look at bright light, too bright a light, it also blinds you. Because you can see this. Supposing you are suddenly, there are lights shining into your eyes. And naturally what your eyes do is to just shrink. In fact, closes it. Because you cannot see what's behind. This is the problem that, you have these, in the cars you have two settings for the lights. So one is the one where the car lights are pointed downwards. And when they're pointed downwards, even if the other car is coming, you can also see other details around it. This is a big problem where I live because we have some mountainous areas, and at night time you have to be careful about where the curves are and so on. And occasionally if the other driver is coming at you and he or she has not dimmed the lights, and they have done it in a very flashy ones, then in the flash of that light you don't see anything else. It's dangerous because sometimes there is a curve that you have to take and you don't know where the curve is. The reason I'm saying all this, at first you have darkness in your mind that you cannot see yourself clearly. This is a strange thing, really. I mean, you can see darkness of not seeing anything else, but your own self you don't see the darkness because it has never been revealed to you that what is in fact mortality is not real mortality, it is immortality. This has never been clear to you. But now with the understanding of Shravanam and Mananam, this opens up a new vista for you. So now you are used, what I'm saying is, going back to what I was trying to say, is that you are used to not seeing this because of the darkness of the guha in your heart, the cave of the heart. But supposing this has been made clear to you and you are aware of the truth of this, but you still cannot see very well. Why not? Because of the too much shininess of things in your mind, of other things that are shining at you. It is exactly like the world has not dimmed its light and it's preventing you from actually seeing the various aspects of things in your life. So this is what I was just thinking of. That really speaking, either complete darkness can blind you or too much light can blind you. So here too much light means your obsession with things that are going outside. So this is the meaning of this verse. Upeksha nama rupe dve. Means, please figure out some way to dim the lights of the nama rupa. And then do samadhi. in such a manner that initially the dim lights of, when you dim the outside lights so much, you begin to see the presence of the Atma, Satchidananda Tatparaha. So this is the process which we have to do. So first, Shravanam. So all the things, all the way up to number 20, Mananam also. And then now you have to meditate on it. And meditate on it in a couple of different ways. So this is what we will be seeing in more detail. So to introduce the details that we are going to be seeing, you look at the word Samadhim Sarvada Kuryat Hridayeva Athava Bahihi. So there are two kinds of Nididhyasanam meditation we will be doing. One will be inside and the other one is outside. Okay, so then we will explore this, but let us look at verse number 23, at least the word meanings of it. And so now that we have now prepared the ground, I think from next time on we will go into the details of Hridihi and Bahihi, inside and outside, how to do this Samadhi. But before that, before the little bit of time left, let us look into verse number 23, the word meaning of it. He says, Savikalpaha nirvikalpaha samadhi dvivido hridi. So hridi means inside your heart, inside your mind. So hridi always, the heart always refers to the mind, your thinking, your analysis, your conclusions, your reactions. All those kinds constitute you, the very heart of you as a person. And so that is called Hrida. Hridaya means the heart. So if you do the meditation with respect to this portion of you, which is the internal mental aspects of it, this has two aspects of it, Savikalpa and Nirvikalpa. So Savikalpa, Nirvikalpa, Samadhi, Dvividho Hridi. In twofold ways this meditation is there. One is Savikalpa, the other one is Nirvikalpa. Savikalpa means where Vikalpa means differentiation. Savikalpa means along with the differentiation. Nirvikalpa means without the differentiation. What differentiation are we talking about? So here it means the one who is thinking, dhyata, the thinker, one that you are thinking about, which is called dhyeya. And the third one is the entire process of thinking called dhyanam. So this is the differentiation, dhyata, dhyeya and dhyanam. So this is what is called triputi, is this three-way. So this is true for everything. So you are a doer about something that needs to be done, and the whole process of doing, karta Kriya and Karma. In the sequence of Karta, Karma means what is to be done, and Kriya is the very process of doing. Here also, Dhyata, Dhyayam and Dhyanam is when you are doing meditation and you are aware of the fact that you are the meditator, what you are meditating on, and that some meditation is going on. This is what is called Savikalpa. And if you are persisting in Savikalpa Samadhi for a while, what you will see is that these distinctions will glide into nothingness. Nirvikalpa Samadhi means that these distinctions disappear and only the consciousness remains. So this is the process. And so this Samadhi is of two types. One is Savikalpa Samadhi and one is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And you start by doing Savikalpa Samadhi and it slowly inches into, glides into, effortlessly into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. This is what is said in the first line. I'm just explaining the lines. Savikalpa Nirvikalpa Samadhi Dvivido Hridi. Then the Savikalpa Samadhi is further divided into two other subdivisions. Drishya anuvedhena, Shabda anuvedhena, Savikalpa punardvidha. Punardvidha means that further it is further divided. You've already seen two divisions in the beginning, which is Savikalpa and Nirvikalpa. Now the Savikalpa has a further division of Drishya anuvedhena and Shabda anuvedhena. So Drishya anuvedhena means what is seen, a samadhi of what is visible to you, what is obvious to you. And the second one is based on some words that have been given to you. So the vision based on things that are visible to you, and a vision based on some words that are given to you. These are the two types of samadhi, further because of Savikalpa, not because of Savikalpa, in the Savikalpa. So these are the gradations of samadhi that we will be talking about, and as I've mentioned to you before, we will actually be doing these meditations so that they don't just look like something on a piece of paper. You can have the actual meditation. So we will do all of that, but at least the introduction to what it is has to be done. So I'll continue with doing that next Saturday and hope to see you then. So with that, let me close the class. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. So Suvarna, I hope the sound was better. Thanks for pointing that out. I did reconnect the wire. Anita, good to hear from you from Germany. Umit, Suzanne Narayan, Nancy Preston, good. Renu, Sam Dillon, Arvind, Camille Coates, Subroto, Bimla and Jugal, Meera, Maithili, Shanti Kumar, okay, Meera ji's, Sanjay Sethi, Ganeshan. So question from Suzanne. Yes, it absolutely does. The cave of the heart means symbolize ignorance. Yes, absolutely. So it just means that things that have, it's completely dark, like a cave. So that's why the word cave is used. There is no light penetrating. What are the contents of it are not visible at all. And the funny part is, it is my own reality which is invisible to me. And that's the interesting thing. It's possible. And so here the very famous 10th man example. Because oftentimes people have this feeling, how can I be ignorant about myself? Totally ignorant. And the most important thing about myself, which is I'm immortal. How is that possible? And here this example of the 10th man, which is I'm sure you're all familiar with, is very important. Just because the person did not count himself, he was ignorant about the fact that I am the 10th person, he thinks that the person is lost. And the interesting thing is, again, as this is an important story with all of its various manifestations, that the more the person searches, the less he is likely to find himself. This is exactly what is going on in our lives. Because we are dissatisfied with our own situation in life, so we are really changing things, trying out new things, searching. This is really what search means. Very busy, very busy. You ask anybody, how are you doing? I'm very busy. Busy with what? Oh, I don't know, I have got so much going on. Why do you have so much going on? No, this is important because I'm not completely happy the way I am, so I need to work on some things. Fact of the matter is, you don't need to work on anything. You just have to inquire about who you really are. So like the 10th person who is busy searching, and the more you search, the less you're going to find yourself. This is the cave of the heart, which is the ignorance about myself. But the moment somebody points out, do you know who you are? And you say, yes, I'm this miserable, wanting person. No! So here Swami Dayananji was very insistent on this point. Not insistent, but he's just following the parampara. That self-enquiry without a teacher and the teaching doesn't lead to any. It's not the right light. So, there are people who say, just keep on doing who am I inquiry. And if you keep on doing it, the answer comes in, I'm miserable, I'm miserable, I'm miserable. I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know what else to do. This is what answers. This is the wrong answer. So when only the Shastric knowledge comes to you, which says, do you know who you are? And you say, yes, I know who I am. I'm a miserable person. He says, no. Let me show you why you're not. Then things change. The search stops. And then all the things we talked about today, about the meditation and the process of doing it and so on, reveals to you something which you were totally ignorant about. This is what is meant by the cave of the heart, Suzanne. Exactly right. Bhaskar thought he's going deaf. We all think that from time to time, and we really are going slowly. One more request, can the subtitles be activated? Be deactivated? I don't, because I don't see them. I think Chandra has to help with that. That must be distracting. So I don't know where they are. They appear on the screen, I guess. So Chandra, can we, or maybe you and Raj can figure it out. It apparently was something new. It was not there before. And if I need to do something to change that option, I'll be happy to do it. But Suvarna, I don't know. I can't even see anything. So to me, there are no subtitles that I can see. So there's an answer that individuals can turn it off. Oh, so just click CC closed caption. Interesting. Sam says that I don't see the subtitles. Just on the side, I think I may have mentioned it to you last week, I'm not sure, just to be sure, that I think it'll be nice to do a Zoom call about 3 to 4 months, maybe once a quarter in the beginning, where initially I think all of us can just simply introduce ourselves, maybe take 2 minutes to describe who we are and where we are and so on. And then after that, I think we will just use it for more detailed question answer satsang, more in-depth discussions and both dialogue rather than a monologue. So I think I'd like to do that. Not sure when. Let me go over that and then I'll let you know, and then it'll be nice to do some occasional dialogue where I can also see you, and so I think that'll be wonderful. Look forward to doing that. Okay, any other? Don't see any other questions. Have a good day, and we will see you later. Oh.